The U.S. military is working closely with the ambassador, the embassy, USAID, and other U.S. agencies as we work our way through giving our fullest support to the people and the government of Japan. We are in constant contact and very close communication with the Japanese Self-Defense Force as we work our way through their support and relief requirements. This morning I was fortunate enough to accompany the Minister of Defense and the Chief of the Japanese Joint Staff to the disaster area. Frankly, there is tremendous devastation along much of the Japanese coastline centered around the city of Sendai, much like you have seen on the media. Both the earthquake and the subsequent tsunami wreaked havoc on some towns, cities, and rural areas all along that Japanese coastline area. But as we flew up and we looked out one side of the helicopter at that devastation, I looked out the other side. And on that side, along in Japan, there's cities, there's towns, there's areas that from the air look relatively unaffected, although I'm sure they aren't. But they look relatively unaffected. They have people moving around. You can tell that the Japanese people are already beginning to dig their way out of this disaster and are well on their way to establishing how they're going to recover and move on in the years to come. Let me give you an idea of where we are as we work with the Japanese Self-Defense Force. In response to this disaster on Friday, our 7th Fleet Commander immediately left Singapore and is heading here on his command ship, the Blue Ridge, at best speed. You all know that the Ronald Reagan and its strike group is off the coast of the disaster area, and they are conducting sea survey missions, search and rescue missions, and relief efforts in very, very close coordination with the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force. Our Air Force has moved all of its search and rescue helicopters and crews from Okinawa up to Yokota Air Force Base here on the main island of Japan. In addition, they have deployed the rest of their C-130s from Kadena Air Force Base up to Yokota to round out our fleet up here. They all began flying missions yesterday. The Marines from Okinawa, the 3rd MEF, moved CH-46 helicopter assets and KC-130 aircraft up north to support the effort. They provided a command element that is currently about a half-hour away from the Northeast Army headquarters at Camp Sendai, where they will provide as a link up between our headquarters at Yokota and the joint task force that was established today by the Minister of Defense, led by the commander of the Northeast Army. That command element will ensure that we are closely coordinating all of the ground and air requirements that new JTF, that joint task force, will require in the days and weeks to come. In addition, the USS Essex, upon which is the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit out of Okinawa, will arrive on station 2 days from now, and when required and when requested, will provide complete support to those efforts by the Northeast Army. While we were let me take a second to say this, while we were at Camp Sendai today, we had a briefing and a presentation about the efforts that the Northeast Army have already conducted over the past few days. And I have to tell you, it is tremendously impressive. They were rapid, they were effective, they were thorough, they were unbelievably caring as they found people that were hurt and injured, buried under rubble, stuck in cars, and they gently extracted them from those terrible situations and got them to safety. So I was very, very assured by how well they had taken on this task and how quickly they had gotten out of the blocks to get things done on a real basis in Sendai. Finally, our U.S. Army forces in Japan have already established a kind of transit point at one of the airfields up just west of Sendai, so that the ground forces and perhaps the air forces of all of our nations can transport supplies and, if required, people in order to support that new joint task force effort. In summary, I'd just like you all to know that the U.S. military stands closely together with our ambassador and our embassy and our other U.S. agencies to provide the fullest possible support to both the people and the government of Japan.